A storm and a crash. The rain hammered against the windows of County General Hospital in Seattle. As Rachel Monroe checked the clock for the 100th time, it was 11:47 p.m. on a Friday night, and she had been on her feet for the past 15 hours straight. Her lower back ached. Her sneakers were soaked from running through puddles in the parking lot. And she still had 3 more hours before her shift ended. But Rachel never complained. At 26 years old, she had learned that life did not care about your comfort. It only cared about what you could endure. She adjusted her navy blue scrubs and tucked a strand of auburn hair behind her ear as she walked down the fluorescent lit. Why? The emergency room at County General was never quiet, but tonight it buzzed with unusual tension. Storm season in Seattle always brought chaos, but this felt different. "Rachel, can you check on the patient in room 7? Called out Dr. Patricia Williams, the head of the emergency department. Her voice carried the weight of too many sleepless nights on it. Dr. Rachel responded, grabbing a clipboard and heading toward the room. Inside, an elderly woman clutched her chest while her daughter held her hand. Rachel moved with practiced efficiency, checking vital signs and offering reassuring words. This was what she lived for, these moments where her presence made a difference, where her skills mattered more than her bank account or social status. After stabilizing the patient, Rachel stepped back into the hallway and nearly collided with a nurse rushing past. "Sorry, Rachel. We have an incoming emergency. Helicopter crash about 10 miles north. Multiple casualties." Rachel's stomach tightened. Helicopter crashes rarely ended well. The emergency call 20 minutes later, the emergency room transformed into controlled chaos. Paramedics wheeled in victims from the crash, 2 pilots with minor injuries, 1 passenger with a broken leg, and 1 man fighting for his life. Rachel caught a glimpse of him as they rushed past. Mid-30s, expensive suit torn and bloodied, a face that might have been handsome if it were not so pale and lifeless. The trauma team surrounded him immediately. "Massive internal bleeding," shouted Dr. Williams. "Need to get him to surgery now. Type and cross-match his blood. Move, people." Rachel continued with her other patients, but she could not help overhearing the urgent conversations. "His blood type is O negative. Check the blood bank. We're out." "Completely out. What do you mean we are out?" "The storm delayed our delivery. We have nothing that matches." Rachel's heart sank. O negative was the universal donor blood type, but it was also rare. Only about 7% of the population had it. Without blood, the man would die on the operating table. She glanced at her medical bracelet. It's the one she wore because she was a registered blood donor. O negative stared back at her. Rachel did not think. She just moved. "The donation, Dr. Williams," Rachel called out, approaching the frantic medical team. "I am O negative. I can donate." Dr. Williams looked up, her face drawn with stress. "Rachel, you have been working for 15 hours. Donating blood after a shift like that is dangerous. So is letting him die." Dr. Williams studied Rachel's face for a long moment, then nodded. "Get her to the donation room. Fast." 15 minutes later, Rachel lay on a donation bed, watching her blood flow through a tube into a collection bag. Her arm ached where the needle entered, and she felt the familiar lightheaded sensation that came with blood donation. But she focused on breathing steadily, thinking about the man fighting for his life just floors above her. "Almost done," said the phlebotomist. A kind woman named Linda, who had worked at the hospital for 20 years. "You are a brave girl, Rachel. Just doing what anyone would do." "Not everyone would. Trust me." When the donation finished, Rachel tried to stand up too quickly and swayed. Linda caught her arm. "Easy now. Sit for a minute. Drink some juice." "I cannot. I have patients waiting." "Rachel, you just gave a pint of blood after a 15-hour shift. Sit down." Rachel obeyed, but only for 5 minutes. Then she was back on her feet, back in the emergency room. Back to saving lives 1 patient at a time. She never learned the name of the man who received her blood. She never asked. In her world, that was not important. What mattered was that someone lived to see another day. 3 days later, Benjamin Hayes opened his eyes to a private hospital room that looked more like a luxury hotel suite than a medical facility. Soft lighting, expensive artwork on the walls, and the quiet hum of top-of-the-line equipment. His mother, Adrian Hayes, sat beside his bed, her elegant face marked with relief and exhaustion. "Benjamin, thank God you are awake." His throat felt like sandpaper. "What happened?" "Your helicopter went down in the storm. You lost a massive amount of blood. They said it was a miracle you survived." Benjamin's memory came back in fragments. The storm? The violent shaking? The impact? Then nothing. "How long have I been out?" 3 days. "You went through 2 surgeries." Catherine's voice trembled. "Benjamin, we almost lost you." A nurse entered, professional and efficient. She checked his vitals and adjusted his 4. "Welcome back, Mr. Hayes. You gave us quite a scare." "How did I survive?" Benjamin asked. "I remember losing a lot of blood." The nurse smiled. "You were very lucky. We had a donor who came through at the last minute. Without her, you would not have made it to surgery." "Her? A nurse from the hospital?" "Donated right after a long shift." Benjamin felt something shift inside him. "What was her name?" "I am sorry, Mr. Hayes. Donor information is confidential." After the nurse left, Benjamin stared at the ceiling. A woman he had never met had saved his life. She had given part of herself to keep him alive, and then disappeared without expecting anything in return. In Benjamin's world, everyone wanted something. Business partners wanted deals. Employees wanted promotions. Women wanted access to his wealth and status. But this woman had wanted nothing except to save a stranger's life. "I need to find her," Benjamin said quietly. Catherine looked confused. "What? The woman who donated blood?" "I need to find her and thank her." "Shh, Benjamin, the hospital will not release that information." Benjamin Hayes had not built a billion-dollar tech empire by accepting the word no. He had built it by finding solutions to impossible problems. "Then I will find another way." As he lay in that expensive hospital bed, surrounded by luxury but feeling emptier than ever, Benjamin made a promise to himself. He would find the woman who saved him, and he would discover what kind of person gave so freely in a world that always demanded payment. He did not know her name yet, but he would, and when he did, everything would change. A world of privileged Benjamin Hayes stood in his penthouse office, overlooking downtown Seattle, watching the city wake up beneath him. 6 weeks had passed since the accident, and physically he had recovered completely, but mentally he could not move forward. Every morning he woke up thinking about her. The anonymous woman who had saved his life. His assistant, Jessica Park, entered with her usual efficiency. She carried a tablet and 2 cups of coffee, one for him and one for herself. Jessica had worked for Benjamin for 8 years and knew him better than most people in his life. "Good morning, Benjamin. Your schedule is packed today. Board meeting at 9, investor call at 11, and 3 interviews for the new product launch. Cancel them all." Jessica stopped mid-stride. "Excuse me? Cancel everything. I need you to help me with something more important." Jessica set down the coffee and crossed her arms. "This is about the blood donor again, is it not?" Benjamin turned from the window. "I cannot stop thinking about it, Jessica. Someone saved my life and asked for nothing in return. In our world, that does not happen. Maybe that is exactly why you should let it go. Some acts of kindness are meant to stay anonymous." "I cannot let it go." Jessica sighed. She had seen Benjamin obsess over problems before, but never like this. "The hospital will not give you information. I already tried every legal avenue, and we need to try illegal ones. Benjamin, I am not helping you break the law. I'm not illegal, just creative." Benjamin pulled up a file on his computer. "I have been researching. The donation happened at County General Hospital on the night of my accident. Only 3 nurses were working in the emergency room that night with O negative blood. One was male, so we can eliminate him. One was 58 years old and had donated blood the week before, so she would not have been eligible. That leaves 1 person." Jessica leaned forward, intrigued despite herself. "How did you get this information?" "I made a very generous donation to County General's new wing fund. Suddenly, the administrative staff became more talkative. And her name is Rachel Monroe, 26 years old, been working at County General for 4 years, lives in the Greenwood neighborhood, no social media presence, which is unusual for someone her age. Jessica studied the basic information on the screen. A nursing license photo showed a young woman with tired but kind eyes. What are you going to do? I am going to find her and thank her properly. By properly, you mean throw money at her? Benjamin flinched. Why does everyone think that is all I do? Because it is all you do, Benjamin. You solve problems with your checkbook. Maybe this time I want to do something different. Rachel's reality across town. Rachel Monroe was having a very different kind of morning. She stood in the kitchen of her small apartment, making breakfast for her father while trying not to look at the stack of medical bills on the counter. Thomas Monroe sat at the table in his wheelchair, reading the newspaper. At 62, he looked older than his years. The stroke he had suffered 2 years ago had left him partially paralyzed and unable to work. Rachel had become his full-time caregiver when she was not working double shifts at the hospital. You look tired? Sweetheart, Thomas said without looking up from his paper. I am fine. Dad, you work too much. We need the money. We need you healthy more than we need money. Rachel placed a plate of scrambled eggs in front of him. Eat your breakfast. Thomas grabbed her hand gently. Rachel, I know how hard this is on you. Taking care of me, working all those hours. You should be out living your life, not stuck here with your old man. You are not old, and I am exactly where I want to be. It was a lie, but a kind one. Rachel loved her father more than anything, but sometimes she dreamed of a different life. A life where she could travel, or go back to school, or simply sleep for more than 5 hours a night. But dreams did not pay medical bills. Hard work did. After settling her father in front of the television, Rachel headed to the hospital for another shift. The bus ride took 40 minutes, time she usually spent reading medical journals or catching a quick nap. Today, she noticed an expensive black car following the bus route. Probably nothing. Seattle had plenty of wealthy people. An unexpected visitor. Rachel's shift started normally enough. Check patients, administer medications, comfort worried families. It was routine, but she never let it become mechanical. Every patient mattered. Every life was precious. Around noon, Dr. Williams approached her at the nurse's station. Rachel, there is a gentleman here who would like to speak with you. He's waiting in conference room B. About what? He says it is personal. Very insistent. Rachel frowned. She did not have time for personal visits during her shift. But Dr. Williams seemed curious, almost excited. So Rachel followed her to the conference room. When she opened the door, she saw a man in an expensive suit standing by the window. He turned around, and Rachel recognized him immediately from the news. Benjamin Hayes, the tech billionaire. Ms. Monroe, thank you for seeing me. I'm sorry, but do I know you? Benjamin smiled, and Rachel noticed how his whole face changed when he did. Less intimidating, more human. Not exactly. But you saved my life 6 weeks ago. Rachel's confusion must have shown on her face because Benjamin continued. I was the helicopter crash victim. You donated blood for me. Rachel's hand flew to her mouth. That was you? That was me. An awkward silence filled the room. Rachel did not know what to say. She donated blood regularly. It was just something she did. She had never expected to meet any of the recipients. I have been searching for you for weeks, Benjamin said. The hospital would not give me your information, so I had to be creative. I hope you do not mind. I am not sure how to feel about it, honestly. That information was confidential for a reason, I know. And I am sorry if I overstepped. But I needed to thank you personally. You do not need to thank me. I was just doing my job. You were not just doing your job. You donated blood after a 15-hour shift. You gave part of yourself to save a stranger. That goes beyond duty. Rachel shifted uncomfortably. She did not like being the center of attention, especially from someone as powerful as Benjamin Hayes. Mr. Hayes, I appreciate you coming here, but I really need to get back to work. Please, call me Benjamin. And I understand you are busy, but I would like to do something to thank you properly. Name anything. A vacation, a new car, money for whatever you need. Please. There it was. The money. Rachel had known it was coming. I do not want your money, Mr. Hayes. Benjamin. I donated blood because someone needed it, not because I wanted a reward. Benjamin looked genuinely confused, as if he could not comprehend someone refusing his offer. Then what do you want? I want you to live a good life. Make your second chance count. That is all the thanks I need. She turned to leave, but Benjamin spoke again. I checked your file, Rachel. I know about your father. The medical bills. The double shifts. Rachel spun around, anger flashing in her eyes. You investigated me? I wanted to understand who you are. You had no right. You're right. I am sorry. But let me help. Your father needs better care than you can afford on a nurse's salary. We manage just fine. Do you? When was the last time you had a day off? When was the last time you did something for yourself? Rachel's hands clenched into fists. My life is none of your business. You made it my business when you saved it. They stared at each other. Two people from completely different worlds, connected by blood and circumstance. Finally, Rachel spoke, her voice quiet but firm. If you really want to thank me, Benjamin, then donate to this hospital. Not because of me, but because places like this save lives every day with outdated equipment and overworked staff. Make a difference for everyone, not just for me.
Ow.
Benjamin nodded slowly. Okay, I will do that. But can I at least buy you coffee sometime? Just to talk, why? Because in 6 weeks, you are the first person who has talked to me like I am human instead of a bank account. And I find that refreshing. Despite herself, Rachel smiled. 1 coffee. That is all. Coffee, Benjamin agreed. The emergency before they could say anything else. Alarms blared throughout the hospital. Rachel's pager went off simultaneously. Code blue, pediatric wing, room 304. Code blue. Rachel ran without hesitation, Benjamin following behind her. When they reached room 304, Rachel saw a scene that made her heart stop. A little boy, maybe 7 years old, was convulsing in his bed. His mother screamed while nurses tried to stabilize him. Rachel pushed into the room, falling into her training. What happened? Allergic reaction, gasped another nurse. We gave him medication 10 minutes ago. His airway is closing. Rachel grabbed an EpiPen from the crash cart. Hold him steady. She administered the epinephrine with practiced precision. Seconds felt like hours. The boy's convulsions slowed. His breathing, though labored, stabilized. Dr. Williams rushed in, taking over the situation. Rachel stepped back, her hands shaking from adrenaline. In the hallway, she leaned against the wall, taking deep breaths. Benjamin stood nearby, his face pale. Does that happen often? He asked quietly. Often enough. How do you do it? Handle that kind of pressure? Rachel looked at him, really looked at him. Beneath the expensive suit and powerful reputation, she saw someone genuinely shaken by what he had just witnessed. You do it because lives depend on it. Because that little boy deserves every chance to grow up. Because if I fall apart, who will save him? Benjamin was quiet for a long moment. That coffee I mentioned. Can we make it dinner instead? I want to understand more about your world. Rachel surprised herself by saying yes. The dinner Rachel almost canceled 3 times before the dinner. She stood in front of her small closet, staring at clothes that suddenly seemed inadequate. What did you wear to dinner with a billionaire? Her nicest dress was 5 years old and had a small stain near the hem. You look beautiful. Sweetheart, Thomas said from his wheelchair in the doorway. I look like I am trying too hard. You look like my daughter. Smart, kind, and beautiful. That Hayes fellow should be nervous, not you. Rachel smiled and kissed her father's forehead. I will be home by 10. Take your time. Mrs. Chen from next door is coming over to keep me company for cards. Benjamin had chosen a quiet restaurant in the Wallingford neighborhood. Not one of the flashy downtown establishments Rachel had expected. When she arrived, she found him already seated, wearing jeans and a simple button-down shirt. He looked more relaxed than he had at the hospital. You came, he said, standing to pull out her chair. I almost did not. What changed your mind? Curiosity, I suppose. And my father told me to go. They ordered food, making small talk about Seattle weather and the restaurant's history. But Rachel could sense Benjamin wanted to ask deeper questions. Finally, over the main course he did. Tell me about your father. What happened to him? Rachel set down her fork. He had a stroke 2 years ago. He was a construction foreman, worked his whole life with his hands. The stroke left him partially paralyzed. He cannot work anymore, and you take care of him alone? My mother died when I was 12. Cancer. It has always been just me and Dad. He took care of me my whole childhood. Now it is my turn. Benjamin was quiet, processing this. That is why you work double shifts. His medications cost $800 a month. Physical therapy costs another $500. Our insurance covers some, but not enough. So yes, I work double shifts. Rachel, let me help, please. I could cover those costs without even noticing. Rachel had expected this. And what happens when you get bored of being charitable? When the novelty wears off? My father and I would be dependent on your generosity, and the moment you decide to move on to your next project, we would be left struggling again. I would not do that. You do not know that. People with money make promises all the time. They mean well, but they do not understand what it is like to actually need help. To them, it is a game. To us, it is survival. Benjamin looked hurt, but he did not argue. What can I do to prove I am serious? Why do you care so much? You barely know me. Benjamin leaned back in his chair, considering his answer carefully. When I woke up in that hospital, they told me I had died on the operating table. My heart stopped for 90 seconds. Do you know what I thought about in those 90 seconds? What? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. My entire life, everything I had built, and I had nothing meaningful to think about. No relationships that mattered. No impact beyond making money. Just emptiness. He met her eyes. Then they told me a nurse had saved my life by donating blood after a long shift. And I realized that you, someone who works harder than I ever have for a fraction of what I make, had more purpose in one day than I have had in my entire life. Rachel felt something shift in her chest. This was not the speech of someone trying to impress her. This was raw honesty. So what are you looking for from me, Benjamin? Validation? A purpose? Maybe both. Maybe I am looking for someone to show me what really matters. I am not your life coach. I know. But maybe you could be my friend. Rachel smiled despite herself. Friends do not investigate each other's medical files. Friends forgive past mistakes. Maybe. The hospital emergency, their dinner was interrupted by Rachel's phone ringing. She checked the caller ID, and her face went white. It is the hospital. My father. Benjamin threw money on the table without counting it. I will drive you. They ran to his car, a sleek Tesla that made no sound as it accelerated through Seattle streets. Rachel's hands shook as she tried calling the hospital back. Dad had another stroke, she said, her voice breaking. They said it is bad. Benjamin drove faster, weaving through traffic with impressive skill. He will be okay. You have to believe that. You do not know that. But I know he has you fighting for him. That counts for something. They reached the hospital in record time. Rachel jumped out before the car fully stopped. Running through the emergency room doors she had walked through countless times as an employee. Never as family, Dr. Williams met her in the waiting room, her face grave. Rachel, your father is stable for now, but the stroke was severe. There is significant brain damage. Rachel's knees buckled. Benjamin caught her, holding her steady. Can I see him? Yes. But Rachel, you need to prepare yourself. He may not wake up. The walk to the intensive care unit felt endless. Thomas Monroe lay in a hospital bed, surrounded by machines that beeped and hummed. He looked so small, so fragile. Nothing like the strong man who had raised her. Rachel sat beside him, taking his hand. Dad, I am here. Please wake up. Please. Benjamin stood in the doorway, giving her space but staying close. He pulled out his phone and made a series of calls, his voice low but urgent. Hours passed. Rachel refused to leave her father's side. Nurses brought her water and blankets. Dr. Williams checked in regularly with updates that said nothing had changed. At midnight, Benjamin finally spoke. "Rachel, I made some calls. There is a specialist in Boston, Dr. Janet Robertson. She is one of the best stroke neurologists in the country. I have arranged for her to fly here tomorrow to consult on your father's case." Rachel looked up, tears streaming down her face. "Benjamin, I cannot afford that." "Can. And before you argue, this is not charity. This is what friends do for each other. You barely know each other. Then let me know you better. Let me be here for you the way you were there for me." Rachel wanted to argue, but she was too tired, too scared. "Okay. Thank you." The truth about Purpose Dar. Robertson arrived the next morning, a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and confident hands. She examined Thomas thoroughly, reviewed all his scans, consulted with the hospital staff. Finally, she sat down with Rachel in a private consultation room. Benjamin waited outside, respecting their privacy. "Ms. Monroe, your father's stroke affected the left hemisphere of his brain significantly. With intensive therapy, he may regain some function, but he will need full-time care for the foreseeable future." "What does that mean exactly?" "It means he cannot live independently anymore. He will need either a live-in caregiver or a care facility." Rachel felt her world collapsing. "I cannot afford either of those options. I understand. There are some state programs that might help, but the waiting lists are long." After Dr. Robertson left, Rachel sat alone in the room, doing math in her head. Even with her double shifts, she could not afford full-time care. She would have to quit one job, maybe both, to care for her father herself. But then how would they pay rent? Buy food? Afford medication? Benjamin entered quietly. What did she say? Rachel explained the situation, her voice hollow. When she finished, Benjamin pulled up a chair and sat across from her. "I have a proposal, and I want you to hear me out completely before you say no." "Benjamin." "Just listen." Rachel nodded. "I own a property in Madison Park, overlooking Lake Washington. It is a large house, far too big for one person. It has a main floor bedroom that would be perfect for your father, fully accessible. There is also a guest house where you could stay. I would hire a full-time nurse to help with your father's care during the day, so you could keep working if you want, or take time off if you need it." "Benjamin, that is too much. I am not finished. In exchange, I would like you to help me with something." "With what?" "Teaching me how to make my life matter. You work at County General? You see the needs there every day. Help me understand how to truly make a difference. Not just write checks, but actually create change." Rachel stared at him. "You want me to be your consultant? I want you to be my conscience. My guide to understanding what real compassion looks like." "Why me?" "Because you saved my life twice now. Once with your blood, and once by showing me what it means to actually live." Rachel thought about her father, about the impossible situation she was in, about pride versus practicality. She thought about the little boy who had nearly died yesterday, about all the patients at County General who deserved better. "If I agree to this, I need rules. Clear boundaries. This is not charity. It is a working arrangement." "Agreed. And if at any point I feel like you are treating me like a project or a pet, I walk away." "Understood. And my father never knows about this arrangement. As far as he knows, you are helping because we are friends." Benjamin smiled. "We are friends." Rachel extended her hand. "Then we have a deal." 6 months later, the house in Madison Park had become home in a way Rachel never expected. Thomas thrived with proper care, slowly regaining strength through daily therapy. The nurse Benjamin hired, a wonderful woman named Grace, treated Thomas with such kindness that he often joked about adopting her. Rachel still worked at County General, but only 1 shift per day now. The rest of her time was spent working with Benjamin on his new initiative, the Hayes Foundation for Healthcare Access. Together, they had renovated 2 wings at County General, hired 15 new nurses. and established a fund for patients who could not afford medication. But more than that, Benjamin had changed. He spent time at the hospital, not as a wealthy donor touring his investment, but as a volunteer. He read 2 children in the pediatric wing. He delivered meals to patients. He listened to their stories one evening as they sat on the dock behind the house, watching the sunset over Lake Washington. Benjamin turned to Rachel. "I have something to tell you." "What?" "I am falling in love with you." Rachel's heart skipped. She had felt it too, the growing connection between them, but she had been afraid to acknowledge it. "Benjamin, this is complicated." "I know, and I understand if you do not feel the same way. Our arrangement, your father, everything makes this messy. But I needed you to know." Rachel looked at this man who had started as a stranger, become a friend, and was now something more. "I am scared," she admitted. "Scared that this is all too good to be true? That I will wake up and discover it was a dream." "It is not a dream. It is real. We are real." "How do you know?" "Because I have never felt more like myself than when I am with you. Because you see me as Benjamin, not as Adrian Hayes, the billionaire. Because you challenge me, inspire me, and make me want to be better every single day." Rachel took his hand. "I am falling in love with you too. But we need to take this slow. My father, my work, everything is still complicated. Slow is good. I have the rest of my life to spend with you." Inside the house, through the large windows, they could see Thomas laughing at something Grace had said. The man who Rachel had almost lost was alive, healing. Surrounded by love and care, Rachel thought about the night she had donated blood, exhausted and empty. She had given part of herself to save a stranger, never imagining that stranger would save her in return. Not with money, though that had helped. Not with grand gestures, though those had mattered. But with presence, with genuine care, with the willingness to step into her world and understand it. "Thank you," Rachel said quietly. "For what?" "For searching for me. For not giving up. For showing me that kindness can come from unexpected places." Benjamin kissed her forehead gently. "Thank you for saving my life. Both times." As the sun set over the water, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Rachel realized something profound. She had spent years taking care of everyone else, never believing she deserved to be cared for in return. Benjamin had shown her that accepting help was not weakness. It was strength and love. Real love was not about 2 people from the same world finding each other. It was about 2 people from different worlds choosing to build a new one together, a world where blood and money mattered less than compassion and purpose, a world where saving someone's life could lead to saving your own, a world where the greatest gift you could give another person was not what you had, but who you were. Rachel leaned her head on Benjamin's shoulder, feeling truly at peace for the first time in years. Her father was safe, her future was secure, and her heart, which she had guarded for so long, was finally open. Sometimes the best stories started with a storm and a crash. Sometimes they started with blood and desperation. But the greatest stories, the ones that changed everything, started with 2 people brave enough to see beyond their circumstances and believe in something more. This was their story, and it was just beginning.